The crystal chandeliers of Buckingham Palace cast their golden light across a table set for history. Every piece of the grand service gleams with centuries of tradition, each fork positioned with military precision, each wine glass reflecting the faces of world leaders and dignitaries. The air carries the weight of protocol and the subtle perfume of hothouse flowers, while footmen in scarlet livery stand ready to serve dishes that could alter the course of nations. Yet beneath this spectacle of royal hospitality lies a quieter drama, one played out in the choices of a single man. For decades, as Prince of Wales and now as King, Charles has navigated these glittering occasions with his own uncompromising rules about what would and would not pass his lips. These weren't mere preferences, but principled stands that transformed the royal table into a silent manifesto of environmental consciousness, animal welfare, and personal conviction. Behind the palace's mahogany doors, royal chefs learned to read between the lines of tradition, crafting menus that honored both centuries-old customs and one man's unwavering ethical boundaries. What emerges is a portrait of a monarch who used his dinner plate as quietly as his voice to reshape not just royal dining, but the very relationship between crown and conscience. Number 10. Garlic-enhanced dishes. The Queen's ballroom shimmers with diplomatic splendor as silver platters emerge from the kitchens, bearing canapes that glisten like jewels under the chandeliers. Delicate tartlets crown themselves with emerald herbs, while warm pastry cases release tendrils of aromatic steam into the perfumed air. Yet one unmistakable scent is conspicuously absent from the dishes destined for the head table's lingering, pungent embrace of garlic. Charles inherited his mother's absolute prohibition against garlic at royal functions, understanding that public duty demanded fresh breath for countless conversations with world leaders. Former royal chef Darren McGrady confirmed that throughout his years of service, garlic simply never appeared on the prince's personal menus, regardless of the occasion's grandeur or the dish's traditional preparation. Palace kitchens became laboratories of adaptation where classic French sauces were reimagined without their fundamental building block. Chefs learned to coax depth from shallots, wine reductions, and garden herbs instead, creating veloutés brightened with lemon and roasts perfumed with thyme rather than the traditional garlic-heavy preparations that graced other European courts. This absence represents the profound personal sacrifices inherent in royal life, where even the most intimate act of eating serves the greater purpose of statecraft. Charles' garlic-free plate whispers a truth about monarchy. That service to others often requires the surrender of simple human pleasures. Number 9. Foie gras. Against the backdrop of Clarence House's elegant dining room, a silver platter presents what was once considered the pinnacle of European luxury. Slices of foie gras and croûte, their surfaces caramelized to perfection, accompanied by the jewel-bright gleam of port wine reduction. The aroma speaks of cognac and truffles, of centuries when such delicacies defined aristocratic refinement and diplomatic hospitality. Charles, however, quietly revolutionized this tradition through principled refusal. Long before animal welfare became fashionable, he banned foie gras from his royal residences, making him the first senior British royal to take such a public ethical stance. His commitment to humane farming practices made the controversial delicacy incompatible with his conscience, regardless of its historical significance to royal entertaining. Royal chefs responded with creativity, developing rich alternatives using organic chicken livers from trusted farms, whipped into silken pâtés and terrines. These dishes maintained the visual elegance and luxurious texture expected at state functions, while aligning with the prince's unwavering commitment to ethical agriculture and animal welfare. The empty space where foie gras once sat became a powerful statement about evolving monarchy. Charles proved that true nobility lay not in consuming symbols of excess, but in using royal influence to champion more compassionate choices, quietly transforming centuries of tradition through personal conviction. Number 8. Strawberries and out-of-season produce. Winter sunlight filters weakly through the windows of Sandringham as a crystal bowl filled with perfect strawberries appears on the pristine white tablecloth. These ruby gems seem to mock the season, their impossible perfection a testament to modern agriculture's ability to deliver summer's bounty in the depths of December, accompanied by golden clotted cream and delicate sugar crystals that catch the pale light. For Charles, such out-of-season luxuries represent everything wrong with modern food systems. His commitment to seasonal eating runs deeper than preference-eat's environmental philosophy made manifest. While other royals might delight in winter strawberries, Charles views them as symbols of agricultural disconnection and ecological irresponsibility, their carbon footprint incompatible with his sustainability principles. Royal kitchens learned to honor his seasonal calendar religiously, knowing that December meant apples from Highgrove orchards, preserved fruits from autumn's harvest, and rich, dark puddings celebrating winter's natural bounty. Chefs became masters of preservation, creating compotes and conserves that captured summer's essence without defying nature's rhythm. This refusal to eat strawberries in December reflects Charles' profound connection to the natural world and British agricultural heritage. Each declined berry represents a vote for local farmers, seasonal rhythms, and the revolutionary idea that true luxury means eating what nature intended, when nature intended it. Number 7. Factory-farmed poultry. The Sunday roast arrives with ceremonial grandeur, a golden-skinned chicken surrounded by crispy potatoes and seasonal vegetables, its savory aroma filling the dining room with the comforting sense of sage and onion stuffing. This cornerstone of British culinary tradition promises familiar satisfaction, yet Charles' plate would remain conspicuously empty if the bird originated from industrial agriculture. Long before organic farming became mainstream, Charles championed ethical livestock practices, refusing to consume poultry raised in intensive commercial operations. His objections centered on antibiotic overuse, cruel confinement conditions, and the environmental degradation caused by factory farming methods that prioritize profit over animal welfare and sustainable agriculture. At Highgrove, royal chefs sourced only heritage breed chickens raised on organic pastures, often from the Duchy of Cornwall's own lands. These birds, allowed to forage naturally and live according to their instincts, yielded superior flavor that required nothing more than simple preparation with organic butter and garden herbs to achieve culinary excellence. Charles' insistence on ethically raised poultry transformed the royal table into a quiet classroom on sustainable agriculture. Every organic chicken he consumed represented a small act of defiance against industrial food systems, demonstrating how personal choices could support the agricultural reform he had championed for decades. Number 6. Heavy cream-based sauces and soups. The first course arrives with theatrical precision, silver lids lifting simultaneously to reveal bowls of velvety cream of mushroom soup, its ivory surface streaked with brown, perfumed with Madeira, and finished with a flourish of double cream. This rich preparation represents centuries of French culinary influence on royal dining, yet Charles' bowl would contain a notably different, lighter interpretation. Palace chefs discovered early in their service that Charles preferred sauces that celebrated their core ingredients, rather than masking them in dairy. Macready recounts how the prince requested reductions of wine, stock, and herbs, instead of traditional cream-heavy preparations, seeking clarity of flavor over richness and indulgence. Kitchen adaptations became acts of culinary artistry, transforming classic dishes through restraint rather than addition. Stocks were clarified to glass-like purity, vegetable purees loosened with their own cooking liquids, and traditional gratins reimagined with minimal dairy from his beloved duchy farms, creating dishes that satisfied without overwhelming. This preference for lighter preparations mirrors Charles' broader life philosophy. That true sophistication lies in restraint, that the best luxury honors, rather than obscures its origins. His cream-free sauces represent a quiet revolution in royal dining, pulling centuries-old cuisine toward a more modern, health-conscious elegance. Number 5. Raw shellfish. Arranged on beds of crushed ice, freshly shucked oysters glisten in their pearlescent shells, accompanied by sharp mignonette sauce and bright lemon wedges. The briny scent immediately evokes Britain's rugged coastline, while chilled champagne stands ready to complement this quintessential luxury. Yet when travelling on official royal tours, such delicacies remain strictly forbidden to Charles and all senior royals. This prohibition stems from ironclad security protocols rather than personal taste. The royal family operates under strict guidelines when abroad. No raw shellfish, no rare meat, no untreated water. These rules protect against food poisoning that could derail multi-million-pound diplomatic missions and cause international embarrassment, turning every meal into a calculated risk assessment. Royal advance teams spend months negotiating with host countries' culinary staff, ensuring the no raw shellfish rule is highlighted in bold on every menu. If well-meaning foreign hosts accidentally present oysters, Charles has been trained to graciously bypass the dish without causing diplomatic incidents, his polite refusal choreographed to maintain international relations. This restriction illuminates the invisible constraints of royal life, where even spontaneous culinary exploration becomes a matter of national security. The untouched oyster represents the gilded cage of monarchy, where personal freedom is always subordinated to duty, and every bite carries the weight of the crown. Number 4. Hotel-style breakfast buffets. Morning light streams through Balmoral's tall windows, illuminating a breakfast spread that would impress any luxury hotel. Silver chafing dishes harbor sausages, bacon, and grilled tomatoes. Racks display perfectly golden toast baskets overflow with pastries bearing the royal warrant. The scene promises indulgence before the day truly begins, yet Charles consistently walked past this abundance without pause. Royal staff describe a man of precise morning rituals who simply did not eat conventional breakfasts. While grand spreads were maintained for guests and visiting dignitaries, Charles preferred seasonal fruit from his estates, seeds and muesli, or perhaps a perfectly soft-boiled egg delivered under a silver dome, but never the full English breakfast that defined royal hospitality for generations. Palace kitchens learned to operate a dual system, maintaining the traditional buffet for others while preparing Charles' modest requirements separately. His breakfast corner featured orchard fruit, Duchy Originals oatcakes, and honey from estate Hiversimple, pure ingredients that aligned with his philosophy of eating close to the land. This rejection of breakfast abundance represents a broader redefinition of royal luxury. Charles chose nourishment over display, health over tradition, proving that even the first meal of the day could become a statement about values, sustainability, and the courage to chart a different course through inherited customs. Number 3. Over-chilled drinks ice. Crystal glasses catch the light like prisms as footmen circle reception rooms, champagne flutes fizzing delicately while tumblers chime with ice cubes against cut glass. In warm, crowded gatherings, these frost-kissed drinks offer cooling relief, condensation beading their surfaces like diamonds. Yet Charles, even during desert tours or tropical state visits, consistently avoided drinks laden with ice. His preference for minimally chilled beverages served multiple purposes, protecting his throat for the endless speeches that defined royal duty, and preserving his ability to taste what he was actually drinking. Staff accounts describe consistent instructions for his glass to arrive without ice's numbing, palate-deadening effects, regardless of climate or local customs. Behind the scenes, this required diplomatic choreography. Royal valets intercepted well-meaning hosts, while palace pantries maintained separate vessels for the prince's preferred temperature. Even vintage champagne received special treatment, served slightly less chilled to preserve its bouquet and complexity rather than prioritizing dramatic visual effect. The absence of ice reflects Charles' commitment to experiencing rather than merely consuming. Whether wine or water, he chose subtlety over spectacle, flavor over fashion, proving that even the smallest details of royal dining could embody deeper principles about authenticity and appreciation. Number 2. Pasta dishes. A generous bowl of spaghetti bolognese sits invitingly on the table, golden strands heavily coated in rich, slow-cooked ragu, demanding vigorous twirling and carrying inherent risks of splashing bright red sauce. This beloved dish embodies casual, joyous dining, yet represents everything Charles must avoid during official functions, where cameras capture every moment and dignity must never waver. The mechanics of eating long pasta gracefully prove notoriously difficult, with potential for unphotogenic moments or disastrous stains on bespoke Savile Row suits. Charles, acutely aware of constant scrutiny, strictly avoids foods that cannot be consumed with absolute elegance while maintaining high-level diplomatic conversation and perfect visual presentation. When Italian cuisine appeared on royal menus, chefs carefully selected manageable pasta shapes, pen, farfalle, or bite-sized ravioli that could be eaten with single, elegant fork motions. Sauces required perfect consistency, thick enough to cling without splashing, never watery or prone to creating embarrassing moments in the precisely choreographed royal dining environment. This culinary evasion reveals the relentless pressure of public life, where a single dropped noodle could become tabloid fodder. The banished spaghetti symbolizes how even eating becomes performance art for royalty, requiring constant vigilance and suppression of casual comfort in service of flawless public execution. Number 1. After-dinner coffee. The state dining room settles into evening's softer glow as footmen emerge bearing polished silver coffee pots, their surfaces reflecting tapestries and uniforms in distorted elegance. Rich, dark aromas fill the air as hot liquid streams into delicate demitasse cups rimmed with gold, guests cradling them gratefully for warmth and gentle stimulation after lengthy ceremonial meals. At the head table, however, one cup remains consistently, tellingly absent. Charles has never embraced coffee culture, remaining steadfastly devoted to tea throughout his life. Where other royals, including his mother, often took coffee with evening paperwork, Charles maintained almost monastic adherence to Earl Grey, Darjeeling, or Lapsang Souchong. Macgrady and palace staff confirm that coffee-flavored desserts were similarly avoided, his palate preferring citrus, berries, and malty treacle to bitter espresso notes. Palace service adapted accordingly, with menus specifying tea for Charles, while others enjoyed coffee and petits fours. Pastry chefs learned to steer away from tiramisu, mocha mousse, or coffee eclairs when preparing his courses, instead crafting desserts that celebrated Britain's gentler, more contemplative beverage traditions and seasonal fruit preferences. In a world that romanticizes power brokers with espresso in hand, Charles' tea preference feels almost anachronistic, yet profoundly revealing. Tea, slow brewed and sipped meditatively, matches his measured, contemplative approach to authority. By refusing coffee even as it steams elegantly nearby, he aligns himself with patience over urgency, reflection over restless energy, tradition over trend. These quiet refusals, garlic banished for diplomacy, foie gras declined on principle, strawberries spurned out of season, reveal more about character than any official portrait. They show a man attempting to reconcile crown with conscience, inherited ritual with personal conviction. Charles transformed the royal table from a symbol of unquestioned excess into something more complex, a place where tradition meets transformation, where every declined dish represents a choice about the kind of monarch he intended to become. What single dish would you refuse at a royal banquet if your principles demanded it? And how do you think our food choices reflect our deepest values?